The challenges we face as guardians of the air transportation system in a fluid, technology-dependent era are many. But so are our assets, coupled with a clear and forward-thinking strategy. We are engaged as vested stakeholders and participants. We objectively communicate and value feedback. We are fluid and able to adapt quickly to adjust to changing demands. We ensure that teamwork and cooperation remains a priority for effecting change. We rely on data and metrics to measure progress and success. Together, we are safeguarding air transportation. Welcome to the 63rd ALPA Air Safety Forum.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the President of the Airline Pilots Association, Captain Tim Canoll.
So it is a pleasure to see so many pilots, along with government and industry representatives from the United States and Canada, and also all around the globe, come together at this event, united in a single purpose: making air transportation safer, pure and simple. It's not difficult to feel extremely busy these days. And for all of us who work with our families and friends, require so much of our attention, it's easy to forget that the airline pilots are no different. I know this is especially true for pilots and the professionals gathered in this room, who also contribute their time and talent to making flying safer and more secure. And for that, I can simply say, I sincerely thank you. In the rare event that I have a few hours to spare, like many pilots, I like to partake in 4 to 5 hours of self-abuse. It's called golf. A round of golf takes 4 or 5 hours, and usually you feel great going in, horrible coming out. So whether you're playing on a local course or you're lucky enough to play on a championship course, if you ask a golfer the perennial question, how's your game? It usually depends on 4 factors. They'll say it's the accuracy, innovation, persistence, professionalism, all elements. Well, these 4 qualities held true for many of the world's leading golfers. And anyone who's seen my game, you know I'm not anywhere close to that. But these traits have also long characterized ALPA's safety, security, and pilot assistance work. They're among the reasons our union and our industry have accomplished so much in making flying safer and more secure. So let me start with a little bit of a breakdown on each one. Accuracy. In golf, accuracy is everything. We know it. When it comes to putting that little white ball in the hole, you need to be accurate in terms of azimuth, but also you need to be accurate in information on the distance to the pin. And if your yardage is off, I don't care how well you strike the ball, it's not going to turn out right. When it comes to being accurate about our industry's safety record, since the first officer qualification rule were put into place, I want to be clear, the numbers don't lie. This infographic says it all. So, quick question, what was the number of fatalities in the 2 decades before Congress passed the current pilot qualification requirements? Simple answer, chart shows it right there. More than 1,100 people lost their lives. And the number since Congress has acted? No. I'll say it again, no fatal accidents on U.S. passenger airliners operating in Part 121. Okay, so despite these facts, profit-motivated special interests are attempting an end run around the safety regulations to lower workforce costs and line their own pockets. So airline passengers, they simply want and deserve safe air transportation across the United States, including rural and smaller communities. I think this is a great quote, as the Chicago Tribune columnist recently wrote. Few would disagree that piloting a plane is a life and death skill. It requires many years of experience and ongoing job training. That's why it doesn't make sense to offer pilots a shortcut at the beginning of their careers, when professional seasoning is arguably needed the most. Personally, I couldn't agree more with that quote. And that's why ALPA's Keep Our Skies Safe campaign is seen and heard across Capitol Hill and on social media across the nation. In June, more than 150 pilots in uniform came to Washington as part of our union's legislative summit, specifically to lobby for safety. We also joined with the Kogan 3407 families in a news conference to focus the attention of this high-risk threat. But recently, those who are calling to roll back safety are alleging that regulations implemented after the Kogan accident contribute nothing to our country's extraordinary level of aviation safety. Contribute nothing. To that, I say bunk. Here are the facts. This was a significant and unprecedented legislative action. The resulting regulations dealt with minimum training and qualifications in a number of areas, such as flight in adverse weather and icing, stall recognition and avoidance, aircraft handling, crew member mentoring, and an overhaul of the basic ATP requirements and type ratings. Simply put, this has been the most comprehensive, significant, and impactful regulation action since the One Level of Safety initiative was implemented in the mid-1990s. It is clear, and it's intuitive to everyone, that the action of Congress in 2010 and the resulting FAA actions in 2013 have contributed enormously to our current level of safety. The zero U.S. passenger airline accident fatality record since these rules were put in place speaks for itself. We are extremely disappointed that Senate Commerce Committee passed an amendment in its version of the FAA reauthorization that will weaken pilot training, qualification, and experience requirements. On converse, we applaud the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee for taking a strong stand for air transportation safety by upholding the rules in this bill. We strongly urge lawmakers to continue their commitment to safety. So just so we're all on the same page, and to be completely clear, ALPA will not relent in our drive to block any effort to erode the rules that have led to the safest time in history for U.S. airline passengers or cargo shippers. So accuracy is also important in other aspects of aviation safety, including preventing accidents. One of our industry's strongest tools is voluntary, non-punitive safety reporting systems. We're pleased that the House FAA reauthorization bill protects voluntary safety reporting data to help detect and address threats before accidents occur. So let's talk a bit about innovation. The British Open's underway this week. It starts tomorrow. For those who are golf fans like me, it'd be a great thing to watch in the replays at night. For many decades, the Open has served as a stage for new thinking about this ancient game and has inspired innovation in both equipment and technique. In 2010, for example, Spanish golfer Miguel Jimenez clearly used an innovative technique in his recovery shot off the wall at St. Andrews. Just take a look at this quick clip.
No, he's going to try and bounce this again. This could be a big mistake here. Oh, it's gone back and over and up and down. And this, oh, I say.
I've been looking for an opportunity to pull something like that off for a long time. So as the largest non-governmental aviation safety organization in the world, ALPA innovates in every way to make flying safer and, yes, more secure. For example, we recognize the value of unmanned aircraft systems as an innovative technology, very valuable to our country. But we're also recognize the serious safety risks if we don't treat them as aircraft in the airspace. After all, that's what they are. They are aircraft, and they are in the airspace. We know from FAA data that UAS are often found far too close to airliners carrying passengers and cargo. We believe that this threat is most likely from non-conforming operators, not those who are well informed on the risks and operate within the rules. One of the most frustrating parts of aviation safety work is when we see a threat, but our industry takes no action until that threat causes a tragedy. It's unacceptable to wait for an accident, we all know that, to become an impetus before we do something more to safeguard air transportation from the risk posed by unsafe operation of UAS. Too many of our current regulations, the ones we live under today, have been written in the blood of a prior tragedy, and we need to work together to stop that. I am proud to be a member of the FAA's Drone Advisory Committee. In my talks with fellow DAC members, they recognize that safety must be the top priority. And that's a very good step, good first step for this new segment of the industry. Also, efforts to modernize the air traffic control system hold the potential for innovation that will safely enhance our efficiency. But one thing isn't new, and it's been this way since the beginning of the effort on NextGen. ALPA's position that any ATC restructuring must be focused on safety. We support the goal of restructuring our nation's air traffic control system to provide the predictable, long-term funding needed to continue modernizing the system. Chairman Schuster's proposals provides for a safe structure to achieve that goal. Innovation is also the key to keeping pace with today's aviation security needs. ALPA pilots were gratified when the Department of Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly announced a phased, proactive plan to improve aviation security. This plan, which ALPA fully supports, will force our international partners to raise their aviation security standards. The House reauthorization bill also advances new equipment and technologies to help ALPA's security goals, including mandating secondary cockpit barriers on new aircraft. But we still have work to do on screening technology, securing SIDA access for cargo areas, and addressing animal handlers and other supernumeraries who often fly on cargo aircraft. Tomorrow, our forum features an expert panel on aircraft design and operations, work that will innovate how we safely integrate UAS, mitigate the threat from wake turbulence, and train pilots about their electronic flight bags. Next, persistence. So in the 2010 Golf Digest interview, Sam Snead said, if you can't catch a fish unless you keep your line in the water, you have to be patient. Well, it obviously paid off for him because he won 82 tour events. Advancing aviation safety and security is also a study in dogged persistence. This year's FAA reauthorization bill is absolutely no exception. While others have rushed to endorse the original bill, ALPA pilots and staff worked with Congress to include important safety and security gains in the House bill before it would earn the ALPA support. That said, we look forward to working with Congress to ensure this reauthorization does even more to protect passengers and cargo. For example, we'll continue to persist in our drive to better protect air transportation from undeclared, I'll say it again, undeclared hazardous dangerous goods. In 2015, our industry experienced 1,200 hazardous materials incidents. Many of those incidents involved undeclared shipments of dangerous goods, chemicals, lithium batteries, or other potentially explosive substances. This risk is clear. We all see it, and that's why action is needed now. While we're pleased the House version requires the U.S. to harmonize its regulations with the international standards for transporting lithium batteries, more must be done, including ensuring that the shipping containers can adequately contain a lithium battery fire. To deliver on ALPA's long commitment to one level of safety, we'll also continue to fight for science-based flight and duty time rules and minimum rest requirements for pilots who fly all cargo. Likewise, ALPA will provide strong comments on the newly released Canadian flight time duty time rules and call for a single implementation structure for all Canadian carriers that fly commercial operations. In addition, the current rule for adoption and implementation of Canadian fatigue risk management system is simply wholly and completely inadequate. The de facto self-certification of any critical safety component risks the safety of the entire system. We've learned that lesson over and over again. We do not need to learn it again. So let's move on to professionalism, last but certainly not least. So when you're on the golf course and you're playing with your friends or for charity, it's about professionalism, it's about honesty, it's about who you are and responding to the good and the bad that will happen to you out there. And that's true for pilots. Pilots are vetted and observed with greater rigor than just about any other profession. But this doesn't mean our physical or psychological makeup is different than any other humans. But we do have significant advantages, tools, resources that help us detect and deal with issues effectively and safely. ALPA is pleased that the House version of the FAA reauthorization supports pilot assistance programs. For those of us who enjoy golf, the lessons we learned as competitors and the characteristics that contribute to our success play through many aspects of our life. For ALPA members and the representatives of so many other organizations in this room, accuracy, innovation, persistence, professionalism, that's simply just par for the course, because we all do that excellent every day in our jobs with ALPA safety and security. So I'll say thank you for joining us here today. We have an exciting forum ahead of us, beginning with our very first panel. I'll turn it over to Mark to get us going on our first panel. Welcome, and we're going to have a great week.